Welcome to the Kenyon Sports Connections presentation of the Chris Brown Show. I'm Ryan Gasser, and with me the head coach of the Lord soccer team, Chris Brown. And first and foremost, congratulations on a big decision. It was a 1-1 draw, but it was against the nation's top team in Ohio Wesleyan University, and at their place, no less. Can you just take us through that game and how the boys played?
Yeah, it's always a tough place to play, as you're kind of alluding to. We played very well. Certainly the first half an hour we were the dominant team. They've played a lot of games this season and looked a little sluggish. We were creating lots of chances and fortunately put one away around 32 minutes or so. But Ohio Wesleyan are unbeaten for good reason. They're very deep. I mean, he changed 8 of their starting lineup during the first half. So what the impact of that is in the second half, they come out, they're very fresh and they really sort of ratchet up the pressure. And that's what happened. We kind of held out for I think probably about 2/3 of the second half, but they scored I think about 50 minutes left, and at that point it was a little bit backs to the wall stuff. We kind of hung in there, but 7 minutes from the end we created a really good opportunity. Actually, we didn't really create it. Their goalkeeper fumbled a ball and it dropped to one of our guys, and it's just one of those things. We just missed a great opportunity. Those things happen. But the overtime was pretty even. So it was a pretty good result. I mean, we feel pretty confident playing anyone. So.
What does a decision, even though not a win against a quality team like OWU, do to the team's confidence with 3 matches yet to play here in the regular season?
I think going into the game the team was confident. I mean, we tied there last year in the playoffs, so the guys felt they could play against them anyway. So it didn't really change any of that. I think what it does is it keeps us in the race for the NCAA. Ohio's got to play Oberlin this weekend. Who knows what happens there. So we're in the race to finish top. Certainly in the race to finish in the top 2. I mean, that's, I think, a big boost in terms of motivation for the rest of the season. I think that's the key thing. I think it really helps focus the guys on what's left.
Still a lot of soccer yet to be played, but as you mentioned, you're in the race for a top 2 spot when tournament time comes around. Given the recent history between Kenyon and OWU, taking it all the way to the wire, do you feel that this is primed for a matchup in the NCAA Tournament? And do you think that this matchup possibly gives you a kind of an insight on how to play them the next time around, if there is that?
There's a lot of games to go. We've got to take care of business in the remaining 3 NCAA games, and that's got to be our focus. So, and the first one is Saturday, and that's what we've got to focus on. To be honest, we'll take every game one at a time, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves in terms of thinking about anything towards the end of the season. We're worrying about finishing in as high as we can in the NCAC, and that's going to be a result of taking care of the next 3 games, and we can only play those one at a time, so we have to focus on one at a time.
One more question about this past week of play before we zip into the future, but you also carded over the past week a 2-1 win against Wabash. That makes a 5-match unbeaten streak that you have going on currently, the second of such this season. Over this most recent ride of success, what has been the focus or the high points of the team's play?
We've played some very good soccer, particularly against Allegheny. I didn't think we played very well against Wabash. We defended very well. I was a little disappointed that the one shot they had on goal, one shot they had period, went in. So that was, and it was from a set piece, which is a little unusual for us. But I think the guys have shown an ability to grind out wins, to win when you're not playing that great, and to me that's the mark of a good team. When you're not playing to the best of your ability, but you're still grinding out wins, then you're a good team.
And now everybody's favorite portion of the Chris Brown Show and every podcast that we have this week, the off-topic topic. This week, we're trying to make you think a little bit more, Coach, and we want to take you back into history and ask you if you could spend a day with any historical figure, living, dead, fictitious even, who would it be and why?
Karl Marx. I would, I really think he has, or had, a fantastic insight into how capitalism works, and I think I would have loved to have spent time talking to him. He's obviously an extremely bright guy, so he'd be the guy if I could choose anyone.
Well, if you were going to ask him one question to get some financial or any kind of advice, what would that be?
Well, I mean, I think with hindsight, I think you could ask him a little bit about the impact of some of his ideas, certainly with communist Russia or whatever. I think obviously he'd be very disappointed about how that kind of played out. So I think I'd ask him about that, how he felt about how his ideas were implemented incorrectly.
Well, if you ever get that opportunity, let us know. We're going to have you write a full report on that. Now zipping into the future instead of the past, your next two games are against a pair of 5-win teams in Hiram at their place and then bringing it back home against Wittenberg. How dangerous are those two teams despite the lack of wins?
Well, any team in a conference in the NCAA can beat any team on a given day. So I don't read too much into their win-loss records at this point. Hiram are a young team. They lost a lot of players after the 2012 season. So they're young, but they're starting to gel, I think. They're starting to mature. We play them at their place on turf, so I think that's going to be a tricky game. So hopefully they haven't matured too much and we can take care of business. But I mean, I think that's going to be a lot harder than it looks.
As we mentioned, you're riding a 5-match unbeaten streak, looking to match your current season high of 6 that you posted earlier this year. What do you do to ensure that the boys will keep the pedal to the metal and keep that ride going?
Well, I'll continue to do what I always do, and that's I'm very demanding, and I don't let up with that. I think at times it probably grinds on the guys a little bit, but that's the nature of the beast when you have me coaching you. So we just constantly reminding them that we have high expectations and high standards, and when they're not meeting those, we tell them. And I think that's the best way. If you want to be a successful team, you have to set high standards and then hold players accountable to that.
Well, a lot of business yet to be taken care of. The next 2 games will be at Hiram this Saturday. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. That in Hiram, Ohio. And then on Wednesday, you'll bring it back home for the final 2 matches, the first of which will be against Wittenberg at 3:30 p.m., that right there at Mavic Field. And so we hope to see everybody down there at the field supporting your Lords as they make a run for the top spot in the NCAC. Coach, best of luck to you over the next week of play, and we'll come right back here on Thursday, as we do every Thursday for the Chris Brown Show here on the Kenyon Sports Connection. For head coach of the Lords soccer team, Chris Brown, I'm Ryan Gasser. Thanks for watching, everybody.